Ontario Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm your host, James Ngo, and these are your 2 o'clock headlines. We begin our broadcast with breaking news. Political activist Charlie Kirk was killed during an event at Utah Valley University. Footage shows Kirk speaking to a large crowd at the school when a loud bang can be heard echoing across the area. Kirk was hit straight in the neck with a bullet and was taken to hospital in critical condition. U.S. President Donald Trump later announced on Truth Social that Kirk passed away. The university has said a suspect is in custody. Politicians across the U.S. have condemned the shooting, with California Governor Gavin Newsom calling the attack disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. Youth continue to struggle with mental health issues in the Lower Mainland, and it can be even worse for those with mental or physical disabilities. Resources are sparse, and Selena Texiera has more on why people with disabilities may not be assumed for an assessment.
It's nothing new for people in Vancouver to struggle with mental health issues due to the lack of free resources, leading to substance abuse and even death. It's even harder for those with disabilities, as they may not be considered at stake. Psychosocial and Adult Services Director Emma Govan speaks about why there's an absence of consideration for those with disabilities.
I think sometimes people with disabilities are not maybe considered to be at risk or considered to be competent, depending on their type of disability and who's considering it. But I wonder if there are not as many suicide assessments done amongst people with disabilities.
As there continues to be discussions of free mental health resources in Vancouver, we can only hope for programs to step up and provide these resources for those who experience mental disabilities as well as physical. Selena Teixeira, BCIT News.
Police in Burnaby are renewing calls for public information on a case of a missing man for 10 years. Burnaby RCMP say George Laurie Wood has not been seen since being dropped off at the Surrey Central SkyTrain station on June 20th, 2015. The missing man from Burnaby is known to frequent Burnaby Central Park and surrounding areas, and goes by both his middle name Laurie and Randy. Police say the search for Wood is ongoing, and anyone with information that could help investigators should contact them. The union representing Alberta's 51,000 teachers says they are planning to walk off the job starting October 6th. The move comes more than a week after talks broke down between the union and the province, with the main issues being wages and working conditions. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she is still hopeful for an agreement, but the province's offer hasn't changed.
Something's got to give here. So we want to be able to have a fair wage settlement that's very clear, but then let's get talking about how we address classroom conditions by making commitments to hire more teachers and hire more education assistants. But if they just come back and say, give us more money, that's not going to address the foundational issues we're hearing.
The union has long pointed to national statistics that indicate Alberta's per-student funding is among the lowest in the country. A Canadian man has been ordered to serve just over 11 years in a U.S. prison for moving cocaine from South America and Mexico through Houston and into Canada. 35-year-old Jack Kazheniuk has received, repackaged, and sent hundreds of kilograms of cocaine over 2 years. The U.S. Attorney District Office for the Southern District of Texas says that in a 3-month span, Kazheniuk handled about 620 kilograms of cocaine. The investigation involved RCMP and the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team. Kazheniuk pleaded guilty in May for his role in the transnational drug trafficking organization. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is due home this week after a trade mission to China, aimed at getting the country to dump its tariffs on Canadian canola. He was joined by Prime Minister Mark Carney's parliamentary secretary in the hopes of engaging constructively with Chinese officials. China recently slapped Canadian canola producers with a nearly 76% tariff, dealing a major blow to one of Saskatchewan's top crops. The trip comes after Ottawa announced financial support for canola producers, feeling the effects of the levies. Ontario is set to begin building the road to the Ring of Fire. This region is a mineral-rich area located in the remote James Bay lowlands of northern Ontario. Indigenous Affairs Minister Greg Rickford says the province is investing $62 million in Geraldton, Ontario, to rebuild several segments of existing road, that will serve as the start of the eventual road to the region.
This 5-kilometer stretch from where the Trans-Canada start in and through Geraldton cannot handle the kind of commercial and industrial and personal travel that is required to build a corridor that will revitalize the region, create enormous opportunities for First Nations communities much farther north.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Prime Minister Mark Carney both want to mine the region as part of the country's response to the ongoing trade war with the U.S. Protesters in Nepal want a former Chief Justice as their interim Prime Minister as the Nepalese army tries to restore order. After protesters set fire to the government buildings and attacked politicians, the Nepalese military entered the city of Kathmandu to restore order. This comes after Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Oli resigned amid the chaos yesterday. Both sides have now entered negotiations for an interim government. Sushila Karki, a former Chief Justice, has been proposed to head the interim government. Israel has launched another round of airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. A Houthi-controlled news station has said that a strike hit a military headquarters, killing and wounding several people. Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is seeking sanctions against Israel over the war in Gaza. The European Union is divided on this approach, and it's uncertain how many of them will support the sanctions. Russian drones were shot down in Polish airspace, and now the country has invoked NATO Article 4. Poland has said that it shot down at least 3 Russian drones that entered its airspace. This is not the first time the country has been caught in the crossfire during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer reiterated his support for both Poland and Ukraine.
Mr. Speaker, last night Russia launched drones into Poland in an unprecedented attack. I've been in touch with the Polish Prime Minister this morning to make clear our support for Poland and will stand firm in our support for Ukraine. With our partners and through our leadership of the Coalition of Willing, we will continue to ramp up the pressure on Putin until there's a just and lasting peace.
Poland says that the country has now invoked NATO Article 4, where NATO allies will consultate over how to respond. Elon Musk has suddenly been surpassed as the richest man in the world. Larry Ellison, Oracle's chief technology officer, saw his net worth skyrocket as his company shares increased by over 40% today. Ellison's net worth is now $393 billion, surpassing Musk's $385 billion. Musk has held the title of richest man in the world for almost a year, largely thanks to his stake in Tesla, which has fallen off in the last year. That's all for now, but stay with us, as we still have some sports and weather coming up. The BC Lions have signed American defensive back TJ Lee to the roster. Lee has been a Lion since 2014, when he signed with the team as an undrafted free agent. He has played 147 total games with the team, earning 2 All-CFL selections and 3 All-West CFL selections. He is 3rd all-time in Lions history with 584 tackles and 7th all-time with 28 interceptions. The Lions' defense has been one of the worst units in the CFL, and they hope that the re-addition of Lee can help improve the team. In baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays are back in action tonight against the Houston Astros after a come-from-behind win on Tuesday. The Jays were down 3-1 in the 9th, but tied the game and walked it off in extra innings. Backup catcher Tyler Heineman, who got his first career walk-off, says this win shows the team's resilience after the loss of star player Bo Bichette.
You can't replace Bo. You just can't. You can't replace Bo. He's a catalyst for our team. He's a leader of our team. So it's going to be tough, but, I think just knowing that, there's a chance that he can come back kind of just motivates us to keep playing until he's able to come back and then help us out.
As for today, the starters for the game are Jason Alexander for the Astros and Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays. First pitch is scheduled for 4:07 p.m. The Seattle Mariners are looking to go for the sweep tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals. Seattle has won each of its first 2 games, looking to increase their winning streak to 5 games. Michael McGreevy starts for the Cardinals and Logan Gilbert starts for the Mariners. First pitch is at 6:40 p.m. St. Louis Blues prospect Zach Dean has entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. The NHL and Players Union released a joint statement stating that he will be in the program indefinitely. It is unknown why Dean has entered the program, as details are kept confidential. The 22-year-old from Mount Pearl, Newfoundland and Labrador was initially drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights 30th overall in the 2021 NHL Draft. He was traded to the Blues in February 2023 in a trade which saw Vegas acquire forward Ivan Barbashev from St. Louis. Halifax activists are urging CBC to cancel live streams of the Canada and Israel tennis match this weekend. Earlier this week, Tennis Canada said the games between Canada and Israel will be played in a closed venue without spectators, citing safety concerns flagged by local authorities. Activists from groups including Independent Jewish Voices, Gazan Canadian Families, and Palestinian Solidarity Halifax told reporters today that they are also planning to protest the matches. CBC spokesperson Carrie Kelly said in an email that CBC Sports will stream the tournament again this year as part of its commitment to cover Canadian and international sports. If you were expecting colder temperatures by this time of year, it's actually going to stay warm for a little longer. The dramatic start to Canada's fall weather is expected to give way to warmer temperatures around the middle of the season. Weather Network senior meteorologist Doug Gillam says mild temperatures will give way to more active conditions in November.
Before we get to the end, we're going to resume a more typical pattern, and we think temperatures will be going back to seasonal, even below seasonal. That will give us a little bit more of a more abrupt transition as we head into early winter.
Storms are also expected to help bring much of Canada up to near normal precipitation levels for the season. Quickly for the weather, most of the clouds have disappeared and they will continue to clear up until the night. However, they will appear again tomorrow morning. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, I'm James Snow, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
I would recommend this program for anyone that isn't sure what kind of job they want in media, because you learn everything from like public relations to communications to video editing, like radio, TV. So you do get a lot of experience in all the different fields in media.